Shalom. Just waiting for the spirit to hit. That's all. You know? Just waiting for the spirit to hit. We get started here shortly. Well, it's a scorcher down here. Boy. You know, it's a fucking scorcher. Let's get to it, bro. Let's get to it. The spirit didn't hit. Time to get busy. Time to get to work. Now, before I get started, I'm gonna give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Kapidash. And I'm back out here. It's Friday. August almost out of here, man. You know? Going straight into September here shortly. And you know, and everything is still on schedule, man. You know, nothing has changed, nothing has stopped. You know, World War III is still on schedule, man. We don't give a damn about the talk stalling, you know, or the war so-called stall. You know, it's gonna kick right back up. You know? And you so-called Negro Latinos or Native Americans, man, have totally lost your minds. You know? A lot of you don't even believe the scriptures anymore. A lot of y'all are just going on about your merry day, your merry way. You know? And you would be considered the 2/3 of the nation of Israel. But you're in a dead state. Or you can think about it as a damn a gumbo recipe, you know? That's how you niggas can come up with, man. Or kind of catfish bread, and you can concoct on YouTube. You know? Jake has immersed himself in wickedness, you know, or herself, because the Most High, you know, calls Israel pretty much a delicate woman, man. But you so-called Negro Latinos or Native Americans have totally immersed yourself in wickedness and gone backward. You drinking the wine of Babylon, man. Do as thou wilt. You know, I'm the boss of me. I control my own destiny. You know, all that's the wine you drink from Babylon. This man's philosophies, man. And look at it, totally destroyed. You know, totally destroyed. No ifs and buts about it. It's not up for debate. You know, you got no point to argue, man. You can just, matter of fact, before I even came down here, I ran into a Jake begging for money, and the man was finished. You know, it's like his next step is the grave, man. You know, so I saw that, and then I'm riding up the street a little farther. I see another Jake on my right side. The man, like he damn near 80 pounds, man, barely walking. So you so-called Negro Latinos and Native Americans, man, you're done. You're finished here in Babylon. It has totally destroyed you. The curses have totally destroyed us, man. And like I just said, it's not up for debate. But that's what sin does to these people, man. It puts you in that type of state where you're finished, you know? You know, the Most High said in Deuteronomy 28, you know, if we do this, and this, we get the blessings. But if you don't do this, and that, you're gonna get the curses. And as you see, the curses are in full effect. You know? Curses are in full effect, man. You know, so you know, this World War III is gonna be something well needed, man. It's gonna be something well needed because you so-called Negro Latinos and Native Americans are just circling the drain here. Especially the so-called Negroes. You're like 1 foot in the grave. You know, spiritually you're dead already, but physically it's like you got a foot in the grave, man. You're about to perish at any given moment. Look like. You know, so you know everybody try to blame the so-called white man for everything, but no, it's the Most High. He put us in this situation, man. Esau just helped. Esau, the so-called white man, did his part in helping, man. But ultimately, the order come down from the Most High. You know, if you want to get down to it. But you know, on the left-hand side, Esau implemented this shit on us, man. You know, he got the orders from Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, and he carried them out perfectly, man, to a T. Yeah. And he didn't have no mercy, man. He did as he was instructed. Let's get in these precepts. Let's get into these precepts, man. Because the crazy part about it, you know, I was riding at work, and then I just so happened to be on some Christian radio station. And this guy was talking about the elect. You know, he was like, he was asking the radio host, he's like, can you explain the elect? So he got into it. I give it to him. He pretty much broke it down, you know, about the elect. From the most part, from what I heard. You know, the radio was cutting in and out. You know, but it's true, man. This time around, to pretty much sum it up all what he was saying, that Most High has an elect that he ordained from the beginning of time, man. Beginning before the earth was even created. That a certain amount of people is going to be delivered from this impending doom known as World War III when it goes thermonuclear. That's another thing hit today. They was talking about thermonuclear, man. Your boy Alex Jones, he talking about how he pretty much having panic attacks, you know, on what's coming. And he flat out said, hey, thermonuclear war is coming. We're talking about hundreds, a million degrees Fahrenheit. You know, hundreds of millions of degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, so, you know, it's gonna leave you, like I said, and I believe in Edris, where the Most High is gonna beat you in the powder, man. How he's gonna beat you in the powder is with those nukes. It'll be a pile of ashes, man. You know, so it's true that he's coming for a certain amount of people. It ain't gonna be like how we left out of Egypt, where we one big happy family. You know, there's not enough room on this ride this time. You know, wish it is, but you know, it's only a certain amount of tickets for this ride this time. You know, we're not gonna have those damn Egyptians, the Mizrahims, coming with us this time, man. You know, those Hamites. They're not gonna accompany the elect or the nation of Israel on this ride out of here before the nukes hit. You know? So that's all the talk, man. People want to know about the elect, nuclear war, the economy collapsing, economic collapse. We're getting closer and closer to being out of this bitch, man. You know, we're almost out of it. Let's get some precepts, like I just said. This is Ezekiel 9 and 4. Yahweh said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, because Jerusalem, or Jerusalem in the Hebrew, it's a people before it's a place. So wherever there's Jake all together, the so-called Negro Latinos and Native Americans, you're Jerusalem, man. So go through the midst of Jerusalem and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that can be done in the midst thereof. So yeah, we're sighing and crying about all the abominations that are done in this damn hellhole, man. You know, it's nothing but, you know, this place claimed to be a Christian nation, but sin is, it's like wide open, man. People doing whatever they want to, whatever the hell they want to do. Politicians are doing what the hell they want to do. And nobody's upholding the law of the Bible, man. Nobody. You know, they get up there and do speeches talking about, oh, how they love the Lord and, you know, they are Christian, this, that, and the third. When the whole time, most of them not even Christians. Two, they live in double lives, man. You know, especially these preachers, these pastors. There's always some dirt coming out on them, man. Always. You know, they in the closet, pedophiles, PDF files, you know, or they committing adultery left and right. You know, so this Christianity has become a joke. It doesn't hold any weight like it used to. You know, back in the day, you know, you hear something about the word, you know, you start thinking, you get a little scared, you know, like, oh man, the Bible says what? But now people don't pay it any mind, man. No attention. You know, they cast the scriptures behind them, man. And the crazy part about it, you know, the rules that supposedly enforced here in Babylon, the laws, they don't even enforce those, man. So this place is pure lawlessness. You know, they pick and choose what laws they want to, you know, fry you with. You know, I'm driving all day long. You know, I'm in a 35, 45 mile an hour zone, and you got cops passing me up doing 50 and 60, man. No lights on or nothing. So the ones who supposed to be upholding the law, they breaking the law, man. So it's all a fucking joke, you know? It's pure lawlessness here. You can just go on anywhere on YouTube, just pull up something about cops doing this, politicians being caught doing that, you know. So, you know, you can't, a society can't function like this, man. Where everybody just doing whatever the hell they want to do and getting away with it. Eventually, shit hits the fan, man. And that's what it's getting ready to do, hit the fan. Shit's about to hit the fan. So let's read this over. This is Ezekiel 9 and 4. And Yahweh said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So set a mark on the men who are sighing and crying like myself. You know, it's like, man, you know, you can just go through the list of all the shit that's going on here in America, man. That's contrary to the Bible, you know, and not just America, anywhere in the world. But you know, this is ground zero for wickedness because America has pushed its influence all over the world. So the Lord saying, put a mark upon the foreheads on the men that sign and crying. Believe me, we sign and crying. We ready to get the hell out of here. We are ready to get the hell out of here. Everywhere you look at the damn bill in the mailbox. You know, you turn the TV on, you see a Mo. You know, you got a Mo. Every time you turn the TV on, you know, the women are extra loose, hopping from rod to rod. You know, 3, 5, 6 baby daddies. You know, the men fucking committing adultery. You know, lying. I didn't even speak about lying, scamming. Oh man, this place just the worst, man. It's in the gutter. You can't hardly do anything without getting scammed, man. You know, it's like I don't give a damn if they got that BBB shit on their business. Fucking 5, 8, 10 stores. It don't matter, man. Everybody's scamming and lying, man. Look at this, man. Look at here. You got it. You got it. You got it. You know? You can't trust nobody, man. I don't hardly trust anybody I talk to. Everybody pretty much a scumbag. They in some type of scumbagish behavior. Like my company. Everybody fucking scamming. They pay like $2 million for this fuel station, right? And the shit breaking down like every 2 months, man. It's like, it's unreal, man. You got multi-billion dollars companies being scammed, man. And it's just a whole fucking global scamming operation, man. So wickedness, that's the thing, man. If you can scam and get over, you uplifted in this society, man. I'm sure whoever sold them at that fueling station, I bet they got all kind of accolades. They probably got a trophy, got them a raise, got them a bonus, commission, and the company left with almost a useless fueling station. Every couple of months, it's breaking down, or they out there trying to fix it. So we signed and crying about that, man. Down to the minute thing, man. You can't even order you nothing to eat without getting your damn order wrong, man. I just come to a conclusion on it. I'm just gonna stop trusting everybody again. I gotta check all my stuff before I even leave. Everybody just fucking retarded, man. Don't care about nothing. Heavily distracted all the time. And then they want to tip on top of it. You tip them and you still get fucked over, man. He told this guy my order twice yesterday. And he still fucked it up. It's just the type of shit we got to deal with. Told him fucking twice. And he still got it wrong. So just the smallest thing, the men of the Lord, the sign of crying about, man. Your order. You gotta come and look at a bunch of fucking degenerates. Oh man. It goes on and on and on, man. It's like, how much time do you have? I can rant on for hours about this. They're like, oh, you complain. Yeah, I do. I do complain a lot. But shit ain't right, you know? And if you ain't complaining, something ain't right with you. You off if you ain't complaining. You know, I look at you crazy if you're not complaining about something. Now let's go on. Verse 5. And to the others he said, in my hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your spirit neither have pity. Verse 6, about to be a pancake or something. Slay utterly, old and young. So the Lord saying, slay utterly, old and young, both maids and little children and women, but not come near any man upon whom is the mark. So the Lord saying, kill any and everything moving except for the man who got the mark. You know? I thought the Lord was all love. I was raised, the Lord was all love. He don't do nothing wrong. Well, this verse, the Lord is telling his angel to get busy, man. Put motherfuckers to death, you know? It says, and begin in my sanctuary. Yeah, begin in his sanctuary for the men and women, primarily the men who know they're Israelites, man. You know? Start with us first. Because we know better. Then they begin at the ancient men, which were before the house. So yeah, the Lord saying, put them to death, man. Because you got to have you got to have your house in order, which really it means to, commit suicide. But, I'm just saying in a different aspect right now. You got a clean house, so to speak. And the Lord gonna begin in his house first. Because there's a lot of men in Israel that's doing this, is faking it. They're a bunch of fakers, man. They Hebrew Israelite influencers. They dress up, look the part, they got the sign, but they don't live the life, or they don't totally believe. They Hebrew Israelite want to be celebrities, man. They're fine with, they want the like this. They want their kingdom on this side.
What's this about?
It's about the, yeah. You see yourself on here. You're a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American. Are you?
If I'm any of those?
Yeah. No. What are you then? Caribbean. Well, yeah, you're a Benjamite. West Indies. Yeah, well, you're a Benjamite from the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. Yeah, you got some Israel everywhere. We scattered in 4 corners of the earth.
Absolutely.
You got a little rhythm.
Yeah.
Let's say. Then you just might be a Jake then. Hey, brother, we all over. He could be a Jake. Who knows? We even got so-called white people. They look white, but their spirit goes back to these people. A lot of the Irish, Sicilians, you know, Scots. You know, a lot of us, you know, when we were during the Dark Ages in Europe, when the so-called Negroes ruled, yeah, go Google, go look it up. The Dark Ages. It was called the Dark Ages for a reason. You know, that's when so-called Negroes was ruling, man. Not no damn Africans. You know, we was you know, getting busy with those so-called white women. You know, we had a them white women's, and when you have sex with a woman, back in them days, 9 times out of 10, she had a kid. You know, so as the time goes on, you know, that kid gets with a so-called white woman, if it's a boy, and then, you know, that kid comes out looking a little lighter. And then let's say that generation gets with another so-called white woman, and so on and so on. And then, hey, you got what you got, man. A so-called, well, not a so-called, but you got an Israelite that looks like a so-called white person. It only takes a couple generations for that, man. Sometimes not even a couple. You know, just it's this chick. She looks like a so-called white girl, but really she's a so-called black woman. I mean, she got the pale skin, blonde hair, and everything, man. You think it's a white woman, just looking straight at her. You know, dealing with her. Hey, the Italian women, they ain't nothing but nigger women. You know, they ain't nothing but nigger women with pale skin. You know, especially the Sicilian women. You know, so a lot of them are so-called Negro Latinos and Native Americans, man. You know, this is not a color thing. It's all about the spirit. You know, like old girl right there, she could be an Israelite. You know, depending on what her family tree. If it goes back to a so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, she's gonna be good. But if not, you know, hey, it is what it is. And you gotta go into slavery. 1,000 years, man. You know, maybe she'd get picked up by somebody. You know, she'd be a concubine. You know, so slavery ain't gonna be so bad for most women. You know, you know, you could be a concubine in the kingdom, man. And just because I said, let me clear this up earlier, when I asked old boy, does he have rhythm? That does not qualify for you being an Israelite, man. I was just talking shit, you know? It all goes upon the lineage, man. If you come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man, you know, that determines if you're an Israelite. I was just fucking with that guy when I said, you know, asking him, does he have rhythm, man? That does not qualify you, man. Let me clear that up right now. You know, it has to go back, you know, that line, man. And you gotta come from the 12 tribes, man. You know, by blood. Like Paul said, you know. You know? But anyway, I just wanted to clear that up. And I was about to ask him, do we like fried chicken? You know, that was another one. But the spirit didn't want me to go there. You know, he probably would have got offended. You know, and you know, I'm not trying to really take it there today. You know, I've been fussing and cussing all day. I'm trying to mellow out right now. Stay in the spirit, you know. Matter of fact, I've been fussing and cussing all week. You know, about to have absolute road rage. You know, so I'm trying to get a little bit of peace. You know, but every time I'm thinking I'm having a good time, somebody goes and fuck it up, man. And I'm right back where I started from. I'm back to square one. You know, but Lord's willing, it's gonna be okay. You know, it's gonna be okay. Let me keep going. So yeah, the Lord is saying, put a mark upon the men that sign and crying, man. And for the ones who don't have a mark, put them to death. Roughly paraphrase. You know, and that's gonna come in a big way here soon. When martial law declared, the economy collapses. You know, it's gonna be go time. You know, when the lights go out, the trucks stop running. You know, the water stop running. You don't have the Lord on your side, you're gonna be fucked. Because the lights are going out, man. Martial law is gonna be declared. The, the grocery store shelves are gonna be empty. It's gonna be like Mad Max 2.0 out here, man. Even Alex Jones says it's about to be warlord time out here.
You doing?
All right, you ready to be a warlord?
Oh, the line sleeps tonight.
You ready to be like what's that shit? The Walking Dead? You ready to hold it down like Rick? You know? Yeah. But the lion's gonna rise from that thicket though. You know? He's gonna rise from that thicket here very soon. That's the Lion of Judah, man. Known as Yahweh Shah. You know? I just got chills. You know, I just got chills, man. The lion rising from his thicket. Knowing that Yahweh Shah is coming back to get busy. Yeah, ex old pops right there. Gramps. Is he ready to be a warlord? Because it's gonna be a lot of that going on, man. People gonna have to team up if they want to make it. You know, you're gonna have to be like the Walking Dead with Rick and all them, have your own little community. You know, because there's gonna be marauders out here, man. People ransacking, graping, you know what I mean, and killing for something to eat, man. And all you so-called independent women ain't gonna want to be independent in that day. You're gonna be begging for a man to protect you in that day. You know what you gonna do? You know, I know you've been watching all these movies for the past 5, 10 years, where you got these superhero women doing karate and you know doing all these awesome shots with guns and shit. You know, instead of sucking your mind up thinking you can do that, you might be able to get one or two guys with that. But how you gonna fight off a pack of horny guys who ain't had sex in 2, 3 weeks, man? 4 weeks, 2 months. You know, ain't enough jujitsu in the world to get that off of you, man. You know, you're gonna have guys and just fucking packs, man, sticking together trying to stay alive. Once martial law declared, known as Jacob's Trouble for you so-called Negro Latinos or Native Americans, and these single women are going to disappear, man. They're gonna be snatched up by somebody, you know, and and for all you women who like women, your girlfriend ain't gonna be able to save you in that day. She gonna be looking for a man, you know. Your girlfriend's gonna be looking for a man to protect her, man. That's how bad it's gonna get out here. You know, oh girl, she been a butch all her life. When martial law declared, she gonna be looking for a dress to put on, man. You know, she gonna do them braids and let that hair down, man. You know, she gonna be willing to submit, man. You know, she gonna forget all about that trying to be a man. When she see all the hell that's breaking loose out here in these streets, we talking about straight shootouts, man. You know, people fighting over resources, water, women, whatever, man. Whatever they fighting, that's what they're gonna be fighting and killing and taking in this day, man. Known as Jacob's Trouble. You know, aka martial law. Once that's declared, you're gonna have to become somebody you ain't never. Matter of fact, you're gonna have to change into something that you thought you'd never be. You know? You have to turn into a straight up killer, man, in order to survive. You're gonna have to be a cold-blooded killer, man. Because if you show any weakness out here, you know, you're gonna get fucked over. You know? You are going to be somebody's dinner, man. Because it's gonna be cannibals out here too, man. Cannibalism is coming back. You know? So hey, man, that's why it would behoove you, so-called Negro Latinos and Native Americans, man, to serve the Lord while you can. Because there's a whole lot of stuff I can't even explain that's going to happen. You know, you watch these apocalyptic movies, end of the world, and they always show you cannibals, man. You could end up somebody's lunch. You know? They showing you this for a reason. Not just to entertain you. They letting you know that it's gonna get down to, you know, people eating people. You're like, how is that possible? This is the US. You know, we got the stores are full. You know, we're the richest country, or was one of the richest countries. And then you're gonna look up one day and you're gonna be fighting somebody over a pile of chicken bones, man. You're gonna be fighting to the death. You know? You're going to be, you know, fighting your neighbor, like the scriptures say, over something to eat. Like, yeah, I used to share, you know, come over barbecues and have a good time. But you're gonna get so hungry, so thirsty, so you're gonna be like, I gotta kill this motherfucker, man. You gotta eat. And I know he got some food in that house, man. You know? And your neighbor's gonna be thinking, hey, I know they know that I got food. When they come over here, I'm gonna have to put Jim to death, man. You know, I'm gonna have to kill Jim. And then your neighbor Peter gonna be thinking, hey man, you gotta go over there and kill Jim, man. You know? He's like, oh, I gotta kill Peter. It's gonna be back and forth. You know, it's gonna be back and forth, man. It's gonna be like a time like no other time ever in recorded history. You know, and that's what this is coming to. Like they said, give it 6, 7 months, maybe 8 months. Behold, the illusion of having plenty is gonna go away soon. That's what they're saying, man. You're gonna start seeing empty shells. And you start seeing empty shells, then you know martial law ain't too far behind, man. Because when people can't eat, they won't get to rioting, man. And they're gonna say, "Oh, it's time to lock the cities down, man." Hell, I might even get into that. I didn't have that on the list, but I might get into Jacob's trouble. Martial law. You know? And the US military that y'all love so much, they're gonna be out here rounding your asses up, man. Taking your ass to a concentration camp, man. All that we support the troops, yeah, but the troops gonna be putting your ass to death too, man. They're gonna have orders to kill anything moving, man. Especially you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, you're gonna be the #1 target. And everybody else gonna get caught up in it. Matter of fact, let's get into it. Fuck it. The spirit didn't change. Like I'm saying, you can come out here with a lesson, but the spirit just moves, man. It switches. This is Jeremiah 30, verse 7. At last, for that day is great. Well, hold on. Let's go to verse 6, because you can't get away without going to verse 6. We could really go to 5, but let's start at 6. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. So have you ever seen a man be in labor? What this scripture is asking. And the answer is no. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail? So you're gonna see every man with his hand on his loins screaming like a woman in labor, man. That's how terrifying it's gonna be out here. It says, and all faces are turned into paleness. Yeah, that's a paralyzing fear, man. You ever been scared where just you couldn't even say nothing? It's gonna be worse than that, man. It says paralyzing, man. Well, it says, as all faces are turned into paleness, that is a paralyzing fear. Where your fucking color just leave you, man. That's how terrible it's gonna be out here during martial law. You know, somebody's gonna have to slap you like they do in the movies and the cartoons to bring you back, man. To get you moving, because it's gonna be bullets flying over your damn head, man. You know, you're gonna have the US military raining bullets down on you from above, man. Why you think these National Guard troops out here, man? They getting training, man. They getting urban training. Those same guards you see around here, are they all nice and polite? You know, oh, we just here. No, they out here getting training, man. They're gonna be those same troops kicking your door in and dragging your ass out the house. You know? And telling you, hey, you know, all your rights are suspended. You know, FEMA has taken over. And if you don't comply with what we're saying, we're gonna kill your ass. And don't even talk about the Constitution. They're just gonna kill you on spot, man. All that. This is my constitutional, you know, and throw you in the pile with everybody else, man. You know, they got that the constitutional book. You know, they be handing out. Somebody gonna break it out. Well, this is my constitution. And next thing you know, you're gonna have a rifle in your face, man. They're gonna say, look, it's under FEMA control. you comply, or hey, you die, man. It's just that simple. You know, so the troops that you love so much are gonna turn on you like rabid dogs, man. They're gonna be foaming at the mouth, like the scriptures say. They're gonna be like madmen. You know? I might even get that. But like I said, the number one target is gonna be so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. You're gonna be the number one target that they coming to kill. And you know, they gotta, try to get things back in order. So everybody else is gonna get it too, man. You know, all these militias, they're gonna be going to war, man, in the streets of America. You know, we talking about Civil War 2.0. You know, when the dollar collapses, if you don't have that mark, like it was speaking about in Ezekiel, Ezekiel 9, you screwed, man. Because only the elect is gonna make it out of this. The scriptures speak about how it's gonna be no food, no water. How people are gonna be drinking blood because that's how thirsty they're gonna be, man. You're gonna be drinking blood just trying to stay alive, man. Keep from dehydrating. You know, first thing they say, oh, flee into the mountains. You're gonna run out of food up there with no mountains, you know. You done killed all the raccoons, the possums, and all the squirrels and any other kind of wildlife. Eventually, you run out of things to eat. And then you resort to cannibalism, man. And by then, you ought to be willing to submit, for the ones who held out. Because the bankers, they're going to make you submit and take this mark of the beast, man. That's what this new world order is all about. You got to take the mark. Not the mark in Ezekiel, but a different mark. You got to get on these digital currencies, man. This digital wallet, this RFID microchip, man. You got to be tagged and surveilled and traced at all times, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So by the time you finish eating your niece or your neighbor's kid or husband or wife or whatever, or some random person you ran across and you decided to put them to death, you got to eat them to stay alive. By then, you should be willing to submit. Then they'll offer you that chip, Hey, either you take this chip, this mark of the beast, or you get put to death, man. Get your head cut off. You choose. If I'm ever presented with it, it's simple. Just cut my head off. Why would I want to live where I'm traced and surveilled? You got no rights. You're pretty much a digital slave. Why would I want to continue to live? So it's simple for me. Just cut my head off. It's just that simple. But a lot of you other people thinking, oh, if we just take the chip, we'll be okay. The lights will come on, the water will come, You know, I'll be able to take a shower again. The whole time you falling into that trap, man. You falling into pretty much right where they got you, man. Where they want you, man. And where they want you is a total slave, complete control. You know, where they can have you working in this factory, that factory. You know, you get your tokens for the month, get you 20, 30 tokens. You can go buy you a bag of crickets, you know, some honey flavored worms or something. You know, and you won't be able to sell your tokens like they said. They said you gotta, when you get them for that month or that week or whatever, you gotta spend them all that week or that month. You ain't rolling them over and think you're gonna be saving up 20, 30, 40 tokens, 100 tokens, you know. Like I said, you're gonna lose them if you don't use them. This is what the Rothschilds, the bankers, got in store. You know, you ain't gonna be able to do what the hell you want to do. You know, you ain't gonna be able to marry whoever you want to marry. You know, I think papers or even articles I even read, it was like you're not gonna be able to just have sex with whoever you want to have sex with, man. You're not gonna be able to choose your partner. You know, it's gonna be pretty much the elite is gonna choose for you. Oh, speaking of the devil, right there, they just roll by. Yeah, they getting their training, man. That's the spirit there. They just roll by the troops, and that's how they gonna be during martial law, man. But they gonna be hanging out that fucking Humvee or tank, blowing your damn head off, man. Right now they peaceful, you know, everybody cheering them, thumbing them up, high fiving them. But eventually they gonna turn into madmen, you know, kicking your door in and asking you where's everybody else with that barrel of that rifle at your nose, man. Matter of fact, if one of them come over, I'm gonna ask them, man, hey, y'all ready for martial law? I saw some about a few weeks ago. I was on the other end. They had went the opposite direction, but I was gonna ask them, man, hey, y'all getting ready for martial law? What's going on? What's the real scoop? You know, I know at the low level they don't really know, you know, but the man of the Lord, we know the full plan, though. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. You know, so Lord willing, I'm gonna run up on him, you know, and we're gonna get down to business. Man. But yeah, but like I was saying, you're not gonna be able to just procreate whoever you want to procreate with, man. You're gonna be assigned somebody to screw, you know, if you even get that far up. You know, it's gonna be a lot of artificial insemination, man. They said they're gonna take the pleasure of you having sex away from you. Like Klaus Schwab said, you're gonna own nothing and be happy. All they want you to do is just work. You know, live in your 15-minute city. You can't go past or go outside this 2-3 mile radius. You know? That's what the New World Order has in store, man. Not to mention, you know, they want to be able to just take your kids at any given moment, man. Because you know they some big PDF files, man. You know they feel like sacrificing. You know they get off on sacrificing blonde kids, man. Especially blonde little boys. You know they get off on that. You know they want to be able to just send the troops or the police into your house and grab your kids out. Say, hey, we need him for the night, man. And ain't a damn thing you can do about it. You know? You know? They're gonna drink their blood, man. You know? That's what your politicians do, man. In DC, they up there drinking blood and having orgies and sacrificing children, man. They up there doing the most wickedest thing you could think of. From Trump on down and Trump on up, man. Yeah, Trump is into it too, man. Hell, even the Epstein files came out where they was talking about, hey, yeah, they get into homosexuality, you know, but they get nastier than that, though. You know, they banging animals too, man. They into bestiality. So these are the people who run the earth. So what do you think they're gonna do if they doing that now and they gotta hide and do it? What you think they're gonna do when they get the New World Order established? What do you think they're gonna do when they could just go up and pick whoever they want? Like right here, they can say, hey, you come in. You know, we need a sacrifice for the night. You know? And the scriptures say they're gonna get it too. They gonna get a chance to get this New World Order off the ground. They're not gonna keep it though. That's the thing. You know, so hey, you know, everybody talking about they like watching horror movies. Well, you living in a horror movie. Where you got your politicians and people that run the earth are some Satanists, for one, and the pedophilia, two, bestiality, you know, pederasty, they in everything. Whatever you can think of, they into it, man. If you want to get into a mind of the elite, you gotta read a book called, I think, The 100 Days of Sodom, man. That's what these people are into. The Edomites, if you will. I had to add that in there, you know? And you people like, oh, they've been a senator for X amount of years. How they keep getting elected? Because the shit's rigged, man. Nobody's fucking electing these people. Once you play the game, you know, and they figure you good and you doing their bidding, you can stay in power like Mitch McConnell to the day you drop, man. Because nobody kept electing Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell. But hey, if you into whatever they like, you know, you up there in them orgies, sacrificing kids and drinking blood, man. And hey, you can stay in power as long as you live. And everybody going down there voting, standing in line, clicking buttons and shit, thinking you done something. It's all rigged, man. You know, the American people are the easiest people on the earth to do. you know. And oh yeah, might I add, in that new world order, it ain't gonna be no such thing as straight. You can't identify as heterosexual, man. You're going to be fluid, you know. They're not gonna have this male and female. No, it's just gonna be whatever goes, man. So if you're not into men, they're gonna make you be into men, you know. If you're not into women and you're a woman, you're gonna have to be into women. It's just that easy. And if you don't play ball, they're gonna turn your chip off, man. They can say, "Oh, you haven't met your quota, man. You know, you haven't slept with enough guys this month. Like, what's wrong with you? You know, your social credit score is going down. You haven't. We've been tracking you and surveilling you, you know, and you haven't been any dates with any fellas. What's wrong?" That's what it's coming to. Pure hell on earth, man. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get some of this second address, then I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Cause those clouds don't look too good. I'm gonna bring out this second address 16 and 71. Well, let's start at 70. It says, "For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Most High." So yeah, it's gonna be a great insurrection in these cities, man. And like I said, you so-called Negro Latinos and Native Americans are gonna be the primary target. Because if you go to the comment section, all you see is "my fatigue got fatigue." You know? You know? So you're gonna be the number one on the list. Verse 71, "They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but spoiling and destroying those that fear the Most High." So yeah, these troops during martial law are gonna be like madmen, sparing none of you so-called Negro Latinos and Native Americans. You know? They're gonna drag y'all asses out of these houses, man, and round your asses up and throw you in a pile out there with the rest of the tribes, man. Like I was saying, hey, you just go to YouTube, the comment section. These fucking people stuck tired. Even the tribes are tired of you so-called, especially so-called Negroes. Y'all are the number one target, man. Everybody fucking tired of y'all. You know? So what's the word I'm looking for? The animosity is already there, man. Which has been there from the birth of Esau, but even more so now. You know, these attorneys, these DAs, these judges letting y'all out. And you steady committing more and more bullshit. And the public is up to here. You know? They ready to be they ready for something to be done, especially the so-called Negroes, you know? It's up there with y'all. So these troops, yeah, the US troops, mercenaries, UN, NATO troops are gonna be like madmen, sparing none. killing anything moving that looks like a so-called Negro, so-called Latino, so-called Native American. Verse 72. It says, oh, let me get that. It says, but still spoiling and destroying. So yeah, they're gonna be spoiling you, man, and destroying you. It ain't gonna be, yo, I've been here 6, 7 generations. They don't want to hear that shit. They're gonna put you to death. Verse 72. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Like I said, they're gonna take them J's you like, you know, you got the retro whatever. Them troops gonna say, I'm taking these, man. You gonna be needing these. you know, your whole shoe collection, they gonna take that shit. You know? It says, and cast them out of their houses. They're gonna take you out the house, man. They're gonna tie grandmama up. And little Riri, they're gonna tie her ass too up and line you all outside the house. They're gonna go down the line. You know? They're gonna go right down there. It's headshot, man. And it's all from the Most High, man. Because you once served Yahweh by Shimi Awashah at the end of the day. So he's gonna put you to death. And he's gonna use this man to do it. He's so evil, man. Go ahead, close it out. You know, before I get struck up by this tree. I'm like in one of the worst spots possible. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out, man. Before I do, I'm gonna give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Hashem, Rakakadash. Shalom.